Have you ever been personally victimized by someone's breathing? Not snoring, not panting. I mean, regular breathing that somehow feels hostile. Cool. Just checking. Because today, we're going there. This video is sponsored by noise-canceling headphones. For when your coworker sounds like he's slowly inflating a beach ball through his face. Use code I hate my job for 0% off because we're all suffering together. Okay, back to the real nightmare. Some people complain about toxic bosses, others hate corporate buzzwords, but me, I sit next to a man whose entire respiratory system is a personal attack. His name is Gary, and he breathes like a haunted vacuum cleaner trying to suck up a bowling ball. I used to be normal. I used to enjoy silence. Now, silence just means he's gearing up for a bigger inhale. The office is supposed to be a quiet place, right? You picture people typing, maybe a soft phone ring. But no, there is no such thing as quiet when you share airspace with the human equivalent of a broken leaf blower. He doesn't even speak much. He just breathes. Loudly, constantly. Like it's his job. Let me be clear. Gary is not sick. He's not wheezing from a cold or recovering from a marathon. He's just like this. He breathes like he's trying to siphon soup through his nostrils. Every inhale is a slow-motion car crash. Every exhale sounds like a walrus giving up. One time, I dropped my pen. By the time I picked it up, I'd counted 8 individual wheeze cycles. At first I thought maybe it was the vents, or my own overactive imagination. I even googled, can stress cause imaginary sounds? But no, it was him. It was always him. Just raw, unfiltered breathing. From a man with no allergies, no sinus issues, just vibes. You know how people say don't sweat the small stuff? Well, turns out the small stuff can become your villain origin story. Now imagine this man on Zoom, not muted, front and center, breathing directly into his mic like it's a therapy session for his nostrils. I'll be giving a presentation, trying to sound competent, and in the background is just... I'm not sure if I work in marketing or if I'm part of a live sleep apnea study. One time someone asked me to mute because they thought the sound was coming from my mic. Did I mention Gary eats at his desk? Picture this. The symphony of breathing paired with the percussion section of crunching carrots. Sometimes he brings soup. The slurping combined with the breathing creates what I can only describe as a sensory war crime. I started documenting it. Day 47, Gary inhaled so dramatically the plants wilted. Day 63, Gary's breathing somehow interfered with the Wi-Fi. Day 89, I'm convinced Gary is actually filling a secret air reservoir inside his desk. Purpose unknown, will continue monitoring. I even created a breathing bingo card. B column, nostril whistle. I column, prolonged exhale with slight gurgle. N column, the free space is just regular human breathing, which never gets marked. G column, the phlegmy intake that sounds like a starting lawnmower. O column, whatever that thing is he does after drinking coffee that sounds like a deflating balloon. Then one day, something magical happened. I looked up and I saw someone else, a coworker across the office. He was glaring at Gary, not with annoyance, with understanding. That's when I knew I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dramatic. I was part of something bigger. A quiet, unspoken resistance. The unwilling listeners. We didn't speak. We didn't meet in secret. We didn't even slack each other, but we knew. It started with eye contact. Then subtle nods when Gary would hit a particularly impressive respiratory note. Soon, there were 6 of us. The Gary Awareness Coalition. GAC, if you will. We had a secret signal. 2 fingers to the ear, meaning, did you hear that one? We timed the particularly epic breaths. 4.7 seconds became the office record for a single inhale. We started a betting pool on what time of day he'd hit his breathing peak. It's 2:30 p.m., right after his second cup of coffee if you're wondering. Some days, we'd catch each other mouthing, "What the actual?" Across the room, when Gary unleashed a particularly demonic inhale. Small moments of solidarity in our shared auditory hell. So we fought back the only way we could. Passive-aggressive mimicry. One by one, we started breathing back. Not loud enough to get written up, just enough to make him wonder, was that me? We became the wheeze choir, the nasal ninjas of middle management. We'd time it perfectly. Gary would breathe in, and one of us would match his exhale from across the room. Then another would catch the next one. A beautiful, terrible harmony of protest. I tried more direct approaches too. I left decongestant on his desk, anonymous throat lozenges, a how to meditate book with 3 chapters on proper breathing techniques highlighted. Once, I even accidentally sent him a link to a sleep study clinic that specializes in breathing disorders. Nothing worked. If anything, it got worse. But the universe is cruel. The next month, Gary got promoted. Apparently heavy breathing is a leadership quality now. HR said he had strong presence. Yeah, because he sounds like an industrial fan. Now he has his own office. Glass walls, no ceiling. I still hear him, louder, echoing, empowered. The first team meeting he led, he paced around the conference room like a motivational speaker, but instead of motivation, we got 45 minutes of what sounded like someone trying to inflate a beach ball through their sinuses. And you know what's worse than Gary breathing? Gary with authority. Now when he leans over my shoulder to check my work, I get surround sound breathing directly into my ear canal. It's like having a white noise machine that somehow causes anxiety instead of relieving it. Last Tuesday, 2:43 p.m. I broke. He let out this one impossibly wet, nose-shuddering inhale, and I stood up like I'd been summoned by rage itself. I said, calmly, professionally, like a team player, Gary, please breathe quietly. He blinked, looked up, and said, this is quietly. Then he kept going. The office went silent. Even the printers stopped. Everyone froze, waiting to see what would happen next. Would I become a workplace legend? The one who finally confronted the breather? But no, I just sat down, defeated. Because what do you say to that? How do you argue with someone who genuinely believes their impression of a dying steam engine is quiet breathing? That night, I researched exactly how much sound a human would need to make to qualify for some kind of medical intervention. Turns out, unless Gary is literally breaking the sound barrier with his nostrils, there's not much I can do. I don't want to quit. I want to outlast him. I want to be there when he retires so I can finally just breathe. Sometimes I imagine that day. His retirement party, the cake, the awkward speeches, the card everyone signed, and then finally silence. Beautiful, serene silence where the only breathing you hear is your own. But that's years away. So for now I've developed coping mechanisms. I time my bathroom breaks to coincide with his most aggressive breathing periods. I schedule meetings that conflict with his lunch hour. I've created a carefully curated playlist called Louder Than Gary that's just industrial metal and construction noises. But until then, I wear earplugs, I meditate, and I fantasize about spontaneous HVAC failure. Because some people suffer in silence. And some of us suffer because of it. And hey, if you work in an office, look around. There's a Gary. There's always a Gary. And if you don't think there is, it might be you. That's it. That's the video. If you related to even one of these breathing crimes, I'm so sorry. You're one of us now. Hit like. Or don't. I'm not your emotional support stapler. But if you do, maybe the algorithm will finally show this to someone besides my mom.